a bottle of rum, peeps. I'm your Captain Erik Galaxy on the good ship Twit Radio on Talk Like a Pirate Day. Arrgh. Yeah, that was pretty bad. We won't be doing any more of that. But yeah, it is Talk Like a Pirate Day. So, can you imagine me doing the whole show talking like or trying to talk like a pirate, which I do really badly? Yeah. Oops. Speaking of oops, last episode I mentioned that with the new kickoff rules, that if a ball is kicked into the end zone, it automatically comes out to I said at the time, the 35-yard line. I was wrong on that. It actually comes out to only the 30-yard line. So maybe that will be tweaked later on. I don't know. There's been a touchdown scored on the kickoff rules, and there's been several long returns with the new rules. Once again, I think that people will figure this stuff out, and they'll tweak it, and they'll figure out what do we have to do. I know there was a lot of people that were like, oh, this sucks, but in reality, returns are up like 10%, so I mean, that's better than nothing, right? So, and it makes for more interesting stuff going on. So, like I said, it'll develop, and I was right. I was right. People will love it after a while, okay? Maybe. Maybe? Alright, so NFL Week 2 is in the books, and the big stories are A shitload of field goals are being made, and B, all of the rookie starting quarterbacks are sucking because nobody has thrown a touchdown yet. The field goal thing is, I kind of addressed this last episode, is like, because kickers can kick farther now. So, it used to be like 50 yards, oh, I don't know, I might try, now it's like freaking chip shot. The other thing is the rookie quarterbacks. The one that gets me the most is the whole Caleb Chicago Bears situation, where coming out of the draft, he was like, "Oh, he's on a great team. He's got the Patrick Mahomes style. He's got this. He's got that." And the only reason Chicago got to pick him first was because they made that deal with the Carolina Panthers for the Bryce Young deal. But the Chicago Bears were not a terrible team. They were 7-10. There were, I believe, 7 teams worse records than they had, and 4 teams that had the same record as they had. So basically, they were kind of like 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. They were like that worst, the 11th worst team. So they weren't that bad of a team, but apparently, yeah, people are already jumping off the bandwagon, so to speak. It's like 2 games in. I mean, come on. But yeah, that's the two things of the first 2 weeks. Speaking of the Bryce Young situation, who just got dumped, well, not dumped, but benched, in favor of Andy Dalton. Red Rifle. I heard some people talking the other day about him, calling him the Red Rocket. And I'm like, oh, Red Rocket? He's the Red Rifle, right? He's been the Red Rifle for like a long time. But they're calling him Red Rocket, and they're insisting that, oh, that's his nickname. And I'm like, no, that's not his nickname. I mean, the funny thing about it is that because J.J. Watt from the Texans actually called him the Red Rider at one time, basically saying, you're not a rifle, you're a BB gun. That was funny. That's the whole Red Rifle thing. So Red Rocket is not his nickname, it's Red Rifle. Anyways, I digress. So yeah, Bryce Young benched after 2 games this season. You know, they're saying, oh, he'll get another chance, you know, someplace else. He'll get traded, blah, blah, and I'm thinking, you know what? Maybe quarterback isn't his thing. Maybe he can be, I don't know, a slot receiver, maybe? I mean, yeah. There was that whole Lamar Jackson thing when he came out, and it was like, oh, he's never going to be a quarterback. You should probably play receiver because you're never going to be a good quarterback. And now he's been MVP like twice, whatever. But, I mean, there are other instances in the past. There was a player for the 49ers, Freddie Solomon, who was a standout quarterback at, I'm going to say, Florida State? One of those Florida schools. But anyways, he was a standout quarterback, and then he got drafted by the 49ers and went directly to wide receiver. And had a pretty good career. So, I mean, Bryce Young, I mean, I know, you know, you want to be quarterback, you want to get quarterback money like that, but, you know, I mean, if you want to be a backups make a lot of money. So, I mean, you can be a good backup, but I'm just saying. If you really want to get there on the field, you might want to think about changing your position. But anyways, yeah. So that's what's going on the first 2 weeks. Some of the things that I noticed this past week were that there were a lot of, and this has been going on for a while, but there seems to be a lot of pass interference calls called on uncatchable balls. I mean, the ball is clearly out of the end zone, but pass interference. I believe Bill Belichick addressed this one time. Somebody asked him what was the worst thing, and he said that uncatchable balls are never called anymore because the athletes are so great at catching balls with the one hand and what this and this, and the tapping and everything, that they're going to never ever say that the ball is uncatchable, even though it's a mile over his head, because, well, the athletes, they possibly get that. This is where Hawkeye technology would really come into play, because, I mean, then you could see, you know, some kind of like, you know, geodesic dome grid type of thing, where it's like, you know, it's like, obviously that person in his combine only jumped so many inches as a receiver, and so he could not have possibly caught that ball because his stature, blah, 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 whatever. You know, all that stuff comes in. You put the cameras on the goalposts and everything, and all around and everything, and I believe that might be a good place where it might work out, you know. It was uncatchable, or it was catchable, so maybe bring that, I don't know, I don't know the technology of the Hawkeye technology and everything. Apparently it didn't work for the first down lines because people were standing in front of the cameras or whatever, so it didn't work or whatever. I don't know, but don't figure it out. But just saying, that might be a place where you might put that into play. Hawkeye technology on uncatchable balls. Another thing, I saw this one guy, he catches the ball, it's past the first down line, but then he kind of like on his own, kind of runs back a little bit, and then he gets tackled behind the first down line, but they spotted the ball where he caught it, and they call it forward progress. Now, I've read the rule. Forward progress is if you get to a certain spot and somebody then pushes you back. But it doesn't say anything about if on your own you run back a couple of yards because you think you're going to be able to move around or whatever. How far can you go back? So what if that guy runs back and trying to get out of it, he's juking and jumping and getting around, trying to and then he goes back and he's like 10 yards. Well, he caught the ball past the first yard line, so we're just going to put it up there. Doesn't make any sense to me. Doesn't make any sense. I'm surprised that somebody, I mean, is that another one of those? Well, we're never going to call that. We're never going to call that because, you know, you never know. He could, maybe he was fault. No, this guy clearly was trying to circumvent what he thought was coming and went backwards. So, why did they call that? Why were they giving forward progress? I don't know. Oh, and yeah, of course, the old hip drop rule that was supposed to be in play this year is not being called whatsoever. It's a subjective rule, I guess. One of those subjective rules. And, yeah, not being called. So, I don't even know why they even, I guess maybe they all gotta still figure it out again. But you know what? They probably should have figured that out the whole summer and preseason they were talking about it. So, we'll see. Oh. Stupid penalties. For celebration. Remember a few years ago, all they said they cut out, and they said, oh, you know what, nobody can celebrate anymore. You can spike the ball, but you can't do any dances, and you can't do anything, and you can't do anything that has to do with mimicking the shooting of a gun, or the shooting of an arrow, or whatever. And it was like, oh yeah, you can't. Then all of a sudden, after a while, they said, well, okay, you guys can all come and do those weird end zone celebrations that they all do nowadays. Rowing the boat, and faking this and faking that, whatever. Which I thought was pretty stupid. That should be a penalty, just because it's stupid. But, so now they're saying, well, that guy last week who was doing the thing like this, he got penalized because they said he was shooting a gun. When to me, I'm looking at it and going, it looked like he was doing the sprinkler thing, you know? Is that a dance, the sprinkler thing? Is that how it goes? I'm not really sure. But anyways, that's what it looked like to me. And then his coach said afterwards, it looked like he was shooting t-shirts into the crowd. So, but I guess the shooting is the bad part. That was just, I mean, can the ref ask the player, hey, what were you trying to do there? Was that you were shooting a gun, or were you doing the sprinkler? You know, or whatever. I mean, can you ask them? And they say, oh, okay, I was doing the sprinkler. Oh, okay. That's okay, fine. I guess it all comes down to ref's interpretation of what they're doing. Stupid penalties. Is Jason Kelce having the time of his life? I think he's making more money now with all the commercials he's doing than he made when he was playing. I mean, he's like the Kevin Hart of the sports world. He's like everywhere. He's on every show. He's on every commercial. It's awesome. Yeah, sure. He won a Super Bowl, and then got to dress in that weird outfit, and got drunk on the parade in Philadelphia, which is awesome. But I mean, what he's doing now is like prolonging. He's prolonging. So I mean, kudos to him. He was there Monday night for the football game. The big talk about that game is that one play, that one freaking play where Saquon Barkley drops the ball. Should he have done that play? That was the wrong play to call. Should they have blah 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 blah. If Saquon Barkley catches that ball, which he probably does 99 out of 100 times, game over. Everybody's being like, yeah, great call, perfect call. But he didn't. So it's like, oh, they should have run the ball. They should have run the ball instead of burn out the clock and everything. It's like, you know what? The percentage, I'm pretty sure there's a high percentage of that play working with Saquon Barkley catching the ball. Even if you run the ball, like people said, there's also a chance that you're going to fumble the ball. I mean, what happens if there's a bad exchange between the quarterback and the running back, and he fumbles the ball? That could happen. It's not like a gimme play, a gimme. So, to say it was the wrong call, the right call, it was just a freaking call. It didn't work. I mean, oh well, they could have run it on the clock, they could have blah, 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 blah. You know, it's like, you know, like I said, what happens if Saquon fumbles the ball? Why did they run it? They knew it was coming. Anyways, doesn't matter. I heard somebody talking about how well, they would have gotten down to the one. They ran the ball on third down. They would have got down to the one. How do you know they were going to get there was 3 yards? How do you know they were going to get those 2 yards? You don't know they were going to get 2 yards. Atlanta stacks them up because they were all stacked up in the middle. You know, you don't know who's going to get. What if he doesn't get any yards at all? What if he gets stuffed and pushed back a yard? Are they going to do a tush push? The tush push for 3 yards? That's not how that works. And somebody's saying, oh, well, you know, then you run an unbeatable play. Well, it's kind of unbeatable, but there's only an 83, it's had only an 83% success rate last year, so it's not an unbeatable play. you can mess it up. But anyways, yeah, that's the whole talk this week was that one stupid play where Saquon Barkley, cardinal sin for any running back, any receiver, is running without the ball. Tua is done. There's a lot of people on both sides of the issue that are saying, well, if he's cleared to play by the medical doctor, staff, blah, 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 and he wants to play, he will still play football. There are concussions. People get them all the time in football. All the time. And then there are concussions. And Tua's pretty much had the second one. I mean, when you're like, get hit and you're on the field and you're doing this and you're in the field position and you can't, it's like, that's not good at all. That's not good at any, and not just the one time, but several times this has happened. I get it. You're a football player, you want to play football, but okay, at what price? You already got millions of dollars. You never have to work another day in your life. You can go into coaching, you can go into whatever, you can go into, you know, where you don't get concussions. But I don't know, man. It's me, and I've had those kind of concussions a couple of times. I'm thinking, man, I don't want to be a vegetable sitting in a chair when I'm 40 years old, or 30 years old, or whatever. Or putting my life on the line when I have a family, a wife, children. I don't know, man. He can do what he wants to do. It's his prerogative, but I just think it's a little, dude. I mean, I know you took all those like the lessons on with jiu-jitsu on how to fall and everything, but putting your head in there is not learning how to fall. You dove into a person. So, competitiveness, stupidity, I don't know, but I'm just saying, dude, he's done one way or another. Because even if he comes back and plays, your teammates, your fans are going to be cringing every time he runs with the ball, every time he gets sacked, every time he gets hit. People are going to be like, no, don't let it happen again. And there's a really, 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 really good chance that it's going to happen again. So why would you put yourself in that harm's way? Good luck. It is still so weird to me that Pac-12 teams are playing in other conferences. Well, most of them. There's still Oregon State and Washington State left in the Pac-2, what do you want to call them. Although, as I mentioned before, 4 teams from the Mountain West Conference are slated to join the Pac-12, but they still need 2 more teams to join in order for it to become an NCAA sanctioned conference. There's been talk about Memphis coming in and Tulane coming in, and like I don't know. It's kind of geographically. Well, I guess because of the Big 12, geographically, it's like they're spread all over the freaking place. But yes, they have until summer of 2026 to have this all solidified. So maybe the next 2 years, 2 seasons, maybe Cal and Stanford don't like playing in the ACC anymore. Maybe the ACC has been talked about ad nauseum about the next conference to basically fall. So maybe Stanford and Cal, and maybe I'm sure there's going to be probably a lot of money involved for buyouts or whatever. But maybe it's worth it to come back to the Pac-12, you know, Stanford and Cal, and pay that money because you're going to get more money from Pac-12 and I don't know. Maybe there's more involved. Maybe it's just like, hey, come back home. Come back home. Come on, come back home. We forgive you. You know, what's that? The prodigal sons. Yeah. So yeah, it's weird. I mean, I'm sitting here watching the Oregon game, playing at they're playing somebody, and for some reason my brain's going, oh, they must be playing up there in Michigan or Wisconsin or Pennsylvania or something like that. And they go, wait a second. Just because they're Oregon doesn't mean Oregon moved to the, you know, Big Ten country. They're still on the West Coast and Eugene. So, but it's just weird thinking that they're not in. There's no Pac-12 anymore. Stanford, Cal. Come on, come back, come back. So have you seen this thing where Tennessee, University of Tennessee, have raised their ticket prices by 10%, and they call it a talent fee, so they can basically pay better players to come and play for Tennessee. So it's kind of like, hey, boosters and casual fan, give us some more money so we can go pay somebody to come here and play, so, you know, we can be, I'm guessing national champion. The one thing that gets me though is Tennessee fans, they are very rabid about their football team. So they're going to show up no matter what. Those seats are going to be filled every Saturday no matter what, whether they win the national championship or not. I believe Tennessee, I was told they made $75 million last year. Now I don't know if that's net or gross, but regardless, there's a lot of net in there. And yeah, I've heard it takes like what, $20 million now to field a team to win a championship. Okay, so where's the other what, $55 million going to? I don't know, but it just and then they're saying, well, this is going to be the model from now on because it is the NIL, and it is the transfer portal, it's blah 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 blah. But and I can understand that if your school didn't sell out every game. Tennessee pretty much sells out every game. They could probably put on the shitty ass whatever on the field, mediocre team, just to give the fans a little hope. But Tennessee fans are going to show up. They're going to show up at the games. So why you're charging them an extra 10% so you can field a better team? You don't really have to. In baseball news, so there was a catcher on a minor league team, I believe it was a Twins minor league affiliate, that during the last game of the season was telling the opposing batters which pitch was coming. Apparently he wanted the season to end so that he could go, I don't know, do something else. I don't know what. So yeah, so he was telling the opposing batters what pitch was coming. Now the weird thing is, the reason his team found out about it is because the opposing players in their team, after the game, went up to somebody and said, "Hey, this guy's been telling us what's coming the whole game." I don't know, was that act of chivalry to do that? Or like sportsmanship or whatever? I'm not really sure. But anyways, the guy wanted his season to end. I'm pretty sure not only the season, but his career has ended as well. I mean, unless he's really, really, really good, who's gonna, like, you know, want a traitor on their team? And obviously he's not committed to baseball that much, so he's done. He's done. Was he hypnotized? I'm just throwing that out there. Was he I mean, he must have known that, hey, if I do this, my baseball career is over. And maybe he was not that good at all and wanted to just get out of there. So, but yeah, what a way to do it. Why don't you just, like, at the end of the season say, you know what, I'm done. So Shohei Ohtani is on pace to become the first person to hit 50 home runs and steal 50 bases in a season. Once again, stealing bases is a lot easier now than it has been in the past. He's also the only person to have 45 and 45. So he's already reached that plateau. He's at 48 right now, so he's already in the club of one. The closest person, I believe, was A-Rod. Was 42 and 40. Yeah, I guess you can call it 42-42, even though he had 46 stolen bases. But that's the closest thing to Ohtani that we've had, and that was when bases were further apart and pitchers could throw as many times as they wanted to first base to pick you up. Imagine if we had these new rules now, the bases being bigger and pitchers can't throw more than twice the first. Ricky Henderson, Lou Brock, Ty Cobb, how many stolen bases would they have had? Jack the numbers of if they were under the rules we have now. That's why I say any stolen base record now, post the season, has to have an asterisk next to it, because you can't make it easier to steal a base and then say, oh, he's the first person. Of course he's the first person. You made it easy. Home runs, okay, sure. But stolen bases, come on, man. Come on. All right, so let's get into my shorts. I heard the other day on some show Bill Belichick talking, and he mentioned that the New Orleans Saints were one of the oldest franchises. And I was like, well, wait a second. They came into the league in 1967 as an expansion team. So, and there were a lot of teams. I mean, to me, I'm thinking one of the oldest teams is anything pre-19, let's just say 1960. Maybe even 1950. I think because that's when my 49ers will sneak in there. But I mean, there's a lot of franchises that are older. They're not one of the oldest franchises. They may be one of the older franchises, I guess. Maybe that's what he meant to say. Older, not oldest. Because, yeah. But hey, you know, we all get older. So what's up with this new Wendys Small Frosty for $1? I thought Frosties were already on the menu. It's like a $1 menu. You get the $1 Frosty, you get the $1 fries, you dip the fries into the Frosty. Yum. You know, you get the little $1 junior bacon cheeseburger that's like about that big. But yeah, so apparently it's a small Frosty. Now I looked this up. There are several sizes of Frosties apparently. I did not know this. I just thought there was one size. You know, Frosty's a Frosty. Apparently there's a, it's called a Junior Classic. And that goes for like $1.39. And then you got your Classic, which is $1.69. I'm assuming that's, I don't know why. But then you have a Medium Classic. What's that? And then you have a Large Classic. So which one is the real one that we all grew up with? You know, the regular Frosty. Which one is that? But yeah. So we get a small Frosty. I mean, does it come in a little cup like that? A little cup? Because I mean, the regular Frosty is only about that big anyway. So what? Medium, small. Now you just get like what? You get a spoonful or something. Now that's inflation. And you know who's in charge of inflation? Wendys is in charge of that inflation. So this just in, apparently the PGA and LIV golf programs, what do you want to call them, merger talks have stalled because the PGA players are saying that the people who defected, which is kind of a weird term, to the LIV tournament should pay back all of that money that they got from the LIV cash bank flow. The PGA players are making millions of more dollars on the PGA Tour because of all the players that left to go to the LIV tournament. Because the PGA was forced to pay out more money and find more ways of gaining revenue, which they did. But now they're complaining, well, yeah, you allowed us to make a lot more money, but we still want all that money that you made going someplace else. It's like, what? I mean, I have no analogy for this. I'm pretty sure you all can come up with your own. But it's like, what? I went away, they gave me a lot of money, but now you want my money because you're mad at me because I went and made a lot of money? And now we want to come back and play with you guys, but you're not allowing us because, I don't know. Oh, did just find this out. Apparently, the LIV tournament has like a relegation thing, where if you are one of the low 5 golfers on the tour, you get you can't do the tour next year. Kind of like I guess it's kind of like the Premier Soccer League, right? If you're a really shitty team, you have to go down to, I guess, the FCS. You don't get to play in the FBS anymore, or whatever. So I guess apparently the LIV golf thing is the same way. So now I guess those 5 players are like, well, I guess we'll go play in the PGA next year. So maybe that has something to do with all of this about we want to come back and play the PGA because Live Golf won't let us play. Well, that's fine, but you got to give us all this money back. Kind of weird. So Eli Manning is on the list of this year's first ballot Hall of Fame selection committee. If he gets in on the first ballot, that's another reason that Jim Plunkett should be in the Hall of Fame. I mean, I get it. Eli Manning had better stats, better QB rating, blah, 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 better interception to touchdown ratio, blah, 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 blah. Two different eras, all right? Also, Jim Plunkett was the AFC or AFL? AFC. Okay, that's right. I had to get my timeline straight here. Rookie of the Year. But he played on some really bad New England teams. And then he went to some really bad San Francisco teams. And then he got to the Raiders, where he was basically a backup, and then all of a sudden got the chance to start and flourished. His record with the Raiders, you know, if you take out the 49ers and the New England years, his record's pretty good. But, so, Jim Plunkett, Hall of Fame. Alright, so that's our show. Once again, WWE, blah, 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 blah. Peace out.